Welcome back, everyone. President-elect Donald Trump has promised an increase in tariffs when he returns to the White House in January. If those tariffs go into effect, prices will likely go up on many products that Americans buy. Joining us now here on First at 4 is the interim dean of the Professor of Economics, Chris Douglas, PhD from the University of Michigan-Flint. Chris, always good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah. Let's talk about tariffs. Everybody's talking about it. Let's start with the easy one. What's a tariff?
So a tariff is a tax on an imported good, but the domestically produced good, the good produced in the U.S., is not taxed. So the idea is it raises the price of the import. Does it raise the price of the American-made good to make the American good more competitive?
All right. And as far so we should anticipate if President-elect Trump does do this, should we anticipate paying more for things?
Sure. So targets of tariffs include China, Canada. Justin Trudeau famously went down to Mar-a-Lago to try to talk President Trump out of levying tariffs against Canada. Mexico, perhaps Western Europe. So anything made in those countries would increase in price as a consequence of those tariffs, and the companies would pass on that tariff to consumers at the cash register. So it could be clothing, it could be automobiles, because a lot of car parts are sourced in Mexico and Canada. It could be imported food, various fresh produce is imported from, say, Mexico. Could just be random consumer goods, electronics, cell phones, all imported from China. So if these tariffs are levied, you could expect prices of those things to go up.
Yeah. So I imagine it's Christmas time, people are shopping. Is there anything I think you may have mentioned a few things, is there anything they should run out and buy right now in anticipation of this possibly on January 20th or whenever he takes office?
Yeah, so could be clothing, any sort of electronics, televisions, maybe a new cell phone. Anything that's made in a foreign country. If you're thinking about buying it in early 2025, maybe think about buying it in December before the tariffs take effect. If you're in the market for a new car, you might think about buying that new car in December compared to 2025, because there have been some consultants for the automotive industry saying if these tariffs really do take effect, the price of a new car might increase between $1,000 and $5,000, just because a lot of new cars are manufactured in places like Canada and Mexico. But if the car itself isn't manufactured there, a lot of parts are sourced from there. But of course, it's hard to know exactly what the tariffs will be, because President Trump uses tariffs as leverage against the foreign country. So there's always a chance that the foreign country kind of gives into what President Trump wants, and that the tariffs don't take place.
Okay. But there's also, I think, Mexico's president said, okay, you're going to tariff us, we're going to put tariffs on your products.
Very common. That's what happened in the first Trump administration, where President Trump levied tariffs on Chinese imports to the U.S., and China retaliated by levying tariffs on U.S. exports to China. And that also happened during the Smoot-Hawley tariff back in 1929, right before the Great Depression. Congress passed a big tariff bill, levied tariffs against a lot of countries. Those countries retaliated by levying tariffs against U.S. products sent to those countries. So that could affect the U.S. automotive industry, the agricultural sector, because the United States exports lots of food to the rest of the world. Lots of U.S. manufacturers export manufactured goods to the rest of the world. So there's always that concern that Mexico, China, Canada retaliate with tariffs of their own, which makes U.S. goods less competitive in foreign export markets.
Just a few seconds left. It was brought up in a debate that during Trump's first term, he put tariffs on products, and the Biden administration kept them. Was there any problem? Evidently there wasn't, because they kept them.
Well, if the price rose in the first Trump administration, the price just stayed high throughout the Biden administration. Okay. But these look like additional tariffs on top of that. But also, one thing to keep in mind too, it's not just tariffs on consumer goods, it's also tariffs on, it could be capital goods, it could be raw materials, because a lot of raw materials are exported to the United States to be used in the manufacturing process here, which means even goods you don't buy from foreign countries could go up in price if it just makes it more expensive to produce stuff here.
All right, sounds good. Chris Douglas, a PhD from the University of Michigan-Flint. Thanks so much for being with us today. It's good seeing you. Say hi to your dad for me.
Yeah,
okay?
will do. It's always a pleasure, Terry.
All right.